Trump shuts down the subway. Can they do that?
The Trump administration threatening New York City's MTA with nothing short of an ultimatum.
Reduce crime and fare evasion in the subway system or risk having billions in federal funding withheld.
So as you can tell,
okay, not going to shut him down, but not going to give him money.
Problems, but it just got a new one, because even though this place costs $20 billion a year to operate, New York City leaders say the subway may have to shut down because that's not enough. Yet the Trump administration has flat out refused to fund further improvements to the subway whatsoever until the city stops rampant fare evasion and stops having the subway double as a homeless shelter.
Get a good look at this group. Police say the group approached the 23-year-old victim, but it's unclear what led to the incident.
I really feel that a lot of work needs to be done. There's a lot of people that I see around.
The health system doesn't take care of the homeless.
I definitely think it's very scary riding the subway sometimes. I feel like there should be more safety down in the subways.
Sean Duffy saying he will withhold or redirect federal funding from the agency unless it can prove it's making the system safe from violent crime and homelessness. Commuters are sick and tired of feeling...
Shit, if I was homeless, I'd hop on the train too. It's a free ride, but you know, you hang out there all day. At least it's warm in there.
Like they have to jeopardize their safety to get to work, go to school, or to travel around the city.
They are bragging. Governors cut a video showing how great it is on the subway, bragging that we have cameras in every subway. Good. Now we can video the assaults.
How often do you run into someone you need to involuntarily commit? And you
really?
just can't,
Nimbus, let me see. Give me the link to that.
Because these people may be emaciated, poor hygiene, and a desperate need for help.
So, the agency running the subway says that things down here are about to go from bad to worse. But what nobody in charge of the subway wants to admit is that if this is all you can accomplish with $20 billion, nobody in their right mind is going to give you any more of their money.
Well, that makes sense.
This place, the entire thing screams financial irresponsibility, especially since other countries are able to run profitable public transit systems which don't also function as places of refuge or are anywhere near as dangerous as our subway. But perhaps the most embarrassing...
I used to go to New York City. I used to go on the subway. I would never. I'm not anymore. It's a mess now.
Thing is that even though crime down here is slightly lower today than it was a few months ago, the entire
slightly lower,
much less safe to accomplish that result. Because for over a year, National Guard troops and extra police have been down here relentlessly rearresting repeat offenders who rotate through our justice system.
Rearresting because they just get right out.
Only to reappear in different parts of the subway, sometimes within hours of getting busted. But here's the thing, the National Guard can't arrest anyone, they're just there to back up the police. And any cop you see down here is one less officer patrolling the streets above the subway, which are now more dangerous. Which brings us to the real reason giving this place any more money is a terrible idea, because more money isn't going to erase the subway's problems. Especially since the agency running this place is threatening to make service worse than it is right now if more money doesn't arrive.
How can you make it worse? Are you gonna like pay someone to come in there and beat you up? Like you're gonna be guaranteed to get beat up?
To everyone about how safe the subway actually is. But as you're about to see, President Trump has turned the tables on New York City's leaders who think they can spend like there's no tomorrow, ordering them to either stop crime and start helping the homeless or to shut down completely. So as you look around at how wonderful the New York City subway is, it's important to understand that New York City is asking America to keep giving it money so that things can stay just the way you see them right
It's Bernie Sanders once again asking for your money.
now. They aren't saying any of this money is going to go towards cleaning this place up or helping the people living down here on a full-time basis. Instead, it's just to maintain the status quo, keeping this place the progressive nightmare our leaders have allowed it to become, which just seems to be getting worse, not better.
Despite some recent high-profile crimes, the MTA insists that the transit system is safer today than it was 5 years ago. The agency says crime is down 40% so far this year compared to the same period in 2020. 2020 and the agency act.
So it's crazy to listen to our leaders tell us that things down here are better than they've ever been when clearly they aren't. Says right here,
they're just lying.
Are up 55%. That's insane. And sadly, there are so many random incidents taking place down here, it's hard to keep track of them all. And for that reason, riders are watching their backs and looking over their shoulders more than they ever have before. Just the other day, this woman randomly shoved someone and then opened her jacket, revealing a weapon. Stuff like this happens all the time, and that's why people who use the train know that they need to be extra careful when they're down here. Subway assaults are actually 3 times higher than they were back in 2009, and a lot of the crime is concentrated on specific stations. And recidivism has doubled since 2019, with many repeat offenders wandering the system, committing the same crimes over and over again. While at the same time, many of these same individuals struggle with homelessness, mental illness, or a combination of both. And since 2009, the rise in subway crime
They said
has been
felony
driven by
assaults,
not robberies. And what this
so
reveals is that
that's
if you
probably
compare
pretty
a
serious.
short
I don't
period
think
of
that's
time,
just snatching a
say
purse.
This week to last week, or crime stats this month compared to a year ago, you're going to get a different picture than if you zoom out, revealing that we're actually on a downward trend, and any success is just a speed bump on the road to failure.
Do you think they've gotten better, or?
I don't necessarily think they've gotten worse.
Mainly the flaws are...
It's about the same.
Got a lot of homeless, you know, if you go right downstairs, they're usually down here in this one, and they can ride the train, so I don't think it's that bad, but it has its flaws.
It's just a big city, there's a lot of people, it's just unavoidable.
Notice how every single person interviewed was trying to be positive, but was somehow unable to do so. They know they're on camera. They didn't want to be nasty, but they didn't have glowing remarks for the train, and that's at a nice station, 72nd Street, Upper East Side. But they got the truth. Riders down here know that it's not a safe place whatsoever, and they don't necessarily feel safe with all of the criminal activity taking place down here on a regular basis. On top of that, the crime stats we do get might be totally bogus. Look at this. A transit commander was just punished for faking crime statistics, and the transit commander in question allegedly had
They're faking the crimes?
and a lieutenant under his command
Or faking lowering them.
even forging signatures to play down assaults and grand larcenies in the subway system. And how much you want to bet this isn't an isolated incident? If it's happening here, it could be happening somewhere else.
I really feel that a lot of work needs to be done. There's a lot of people that I see around.
The health system doesn't take care of the homeless.
Those were the first 3 commuters we spoke with following a press conference by Mayor Eric Adams, where he said subway crime has fallen 28% year to date. He also
Look at that. Here you got some interviews at a different subway station, and you get very different answers. The first 3 people the news approached all essentially said the same thing. Riders aren't stupid. The city can publish whatever crime stats they want, but that's not going to change reality, which people see and experience for themselves when they try to go to work.
Well, they're never going to tell you that it's bad.
Safely. And when they see people living in the subway who obviously need assistance and aren't getting it, while our legal system ties the hands of police and authorities, who can only temporarily detain those who might be a danger to themselves or others. And let's be real, does any of that sound like a system that America should invest more into? On top of that, this panhandling from New York City is coming at a time when the city's taxation cameras for vehicles have already started up and will generate over $1 billion a year, 80% of which is supposed to find its way down here to fix the subway.
$1 billion isn't enough for them?
Plus, it's not like the federal government doesn't give the city any money for transportation. They already shell out over $2 billion a year. And the concern is that if more money is given to the MTA who runs the subway, things down here aren't going to change. The downward spiral's just going to continue. And let's think about this personally for a second. If you've got a friend who's in dire straits and he keeps asking you for money, well, are you going to give it to him if he doesn't promise to make any life changes and clean himself up? If you do, you're just kind of enabling his bad behavior. And the transportation secretary says the trend of violent crime, homelessness, and other threats to public safety on one of our nation's most prominent metro systems is unacceptable. After years of soft on crime policies, our department is stepping in to restore order. And let's be honest, it's about time somebody did that.
He also says the PATH teams of outreach workers, police, and medical professionals who are in the system 24/7 have removed 900 homeless people in the last 8 months, including many experiencing mental health challenges.
What do you say to those New Yorkers who say they just don't think this is working?
Yeah, no, and listen, perception is reality. We get that.
So 900 people have been removed from the subway, which might sound great, but it's actually nothing compared to the number of individuals these outreach workers encounter who refuse help. Look at this. Since last August, the city has engaged with over 11.
They shouldn't be getting no bonuses if they need more money because they can't control their shit. They're artificially lying, faking the numbers to be low. Meanwhile, they can't even track all the things that are happening down there.
7,000 people, which helps you understand just how big the problems down here really are. And with so few of those people taking the city up on its offer of free services, it reveals many of the folks down here are here because they think this is the best place for them, and they have no plans of getting out of here on their own anytime soon. Now, the city does have some involuntary commitment type policies, but the way those are implemented now mean that in many cases, a person who needs long-term treatment is released in a very short period of time, maybe just as little as 72 hours, and then they're right back down here. And what that reveals is trying to save this place or improve it or even fund it in its current state is a losing battle that will never yield a good result for anybody. And if nobody steps in to restore order, there will never be changes made down here that take this place in a positive direction, which is why the Trump administration has taken the step of stopping all future funding, even if it means the subway goes without repairs and has to shut down. And remember, this place already gets $20 billion a year to look like this.
They get $20 billion a year for what? And they just get that money from the government, plus the revenue from fares.
Definitely money out there. On top of that, the federal government is accusing the city of ignoring obvious solutions which would yield immediate improvements to all of the problems we see down here.
Damn.
You know, it's crazy how even something as simple as an escalator at one of the nicest stations in town never seems to be working 100% of the time. If you go to some of the stations in the outer boroughs, they're never working, ever. And this is happening while our leaders tell us the subway's fine, everything's great, pay us so we can keep it the way you see
Should track where all that money's going.
it right now.
And then you might find the problems.
Now, even though there are unstable individuals everywhere, trash everywhere, and armed commuters randomly confronting each other. And the obvious solution to this is to do more, to get people off the streets proactively before something bad happens.
Williams also told us how he often encounters people who clearly cannot take care of themselves, and there's nothing he can do. How often do you run into someone you need to involuntarily commit, and you just can't, and you have to leave them?
A daily basis, and it's heartbreaking.
So in spite of 900 removals, the outreach workers doing those removals testify that they see people who need help all the time, and sadly there's nothing they can do. They just got to keep moving, leaving folks where they find them, because our progressive laws have removed all humanity from our society, forcing those who can help to look the other way when they see
What they need to use the money better to create a place for these homeless people to go.
someone who needs it and refuses, even if that person is living in a manner that isn't doing them any favors. But there's another easy solution to the city's money problems that the federal government says New York should look into. And look at this, right now the state who's asking for money has a proposal to give away its own money in the form of $300 to $500 checks, which will cost $3 billion, money which could go to fixing the subway. How crazy is it to ask the country for a bailout just so you can turn around and give that money to other people while not using it for its intended purpose? Revealing that New York isn't broke. No, instead, it's fairly well off. It's just so terrible at managing its own money that it's got to ask for more of everybody else's. While gangs
and then all the money they're spending on sending extra officers down there just to solve all the problems.
Allowed to freely roam the subway, robbing people.
Get a good look at this group. Police say they're searching for these 5 people.
They could easily find a place for all these people to go to.
They stole a man.
Oh, the problem is a lot of them don't want to go, don't want to get help. That happens.
Man's phone. Police say the group approached the 23-year-old victim.
That's another problem. Everything, the rent is insanely expensive. because investment properties driving up regular rents, and there are places sitting empty with no one in them.
But it's unclear.
So this gang of 5 people randomly went after somebody and stole their belongings. And you know what? They weren't even covering their faces. That's how little fear there is of law enforcement here. But you know something? These criminals that are in the subway stealing and robbing people, well, studies show that these are the people who are most likely to avoid paying the fare to get in the first place. Like the 2 guys who just jumped in the train right here. On top of that, fare evasion costs the city $800 million a year. And that's because thousands of people do not pay to ride the subway or the bus. They just get on and ride for free, and some of them then go on to do other things once they're down there, revealing that cracking down on fare evasion would not only help the city earn more money, it would also make the subway safer. This guy over here is holding the gate for people, and he's asking people for money on their way in. And
oh my
it's working. Look
gosh.
at that. And it's just so unbelievable that New York City is out there asking America for more money so that stuff like this can keep happening with no authority presence down here whatsoever to stop it.
Residents we spoke with Sunday say they're not surprised.
It's very scary.
Residents.
This area actually looks like Grand Theft Auto 4.
We spoke with Sunday
Liberty
say
City.
They're not surprised.
It's very scary because you don't know what to expect no more, especially in New York City.
I personally don't feel the subways are safe.
It's the elevated
So the
train.
levels of lawlessness down here are so bad, it's no wonder that nobody feels safe riding the train. And if the people on the train don't feel safe, the country shouldn't feel safe bailing it out so it can stay this way. And one of the individuals interviewed mentioned that they don't think the subway is safe in the evening. And you know what? If it's not safe down here in the evening, maybe it shouldn't run in the evening. Maybe instead of this being a 24-hour facility, certain stations should close at certain hours so that they can be cleaned and so that people who need help can get it. They're always shutting down trains anyways to do work. Perhaps they should shut them down completely and transfer people to buses above ground when there's less traffic on the streets to begin with. Maybe the city's going to have to start doing things like that, which are drastic, but might actually help this place turn a corner.
What else could they do other than the turnstile to stop people? What can they do to stop people from just hopping over?
Pay New York to keep things the way they are down here. Is that a good idea? Is that a good use of the country's money? What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.
I don't know what they can even do to stop that. Oh, that's a good point. Crime is down if you decriminalize crime. Yeah, but then this thing like forcefully closing, it could hurt someone if it closes that much to not let someone through. This person has a good point. Why is American taxpayers paying $20 billion for public transportation in just New York City? New York City can't even cover their own shit. That's right. Audit them.